couple of things again. What do you call it? I was the highest. I made the most revenue for Sardion this past month. I've noticed that the customer, or I learned that the customer, they will actually, you can bill them by the hour, how many hours you've worked. Whereas at Fuji, or the previous customer, I was kind of getting raised eyebrows if I charged over 7.5 hours a day. So now my average has been around 9.5 hours a day, which is good. On cycling, which keeps me, I think it has multiple positive effects. I need to sleep less, or I don't get fatigued if I exercise. And then, what do you call it? But yeah, now there was a storm in Finland. I think my brother might have caught it when he was, I don't know where he went, either Stockholm or Estonia. I don't know, maybe. I haven't got a clue, but he went with one of his daughters, and I was surprised that he went. But this stormy weather, it was absolutely horrible because you could barely cycle in it. It was so hard. I was cycling back from work. It was, I think, Thursday. So it lasted several days. This stormy or windy condition. Stormy. The only connotation that comes from that is Donald Trump, Stormy Daniels, and creepy porn lawyer. It's funny that in his abbreviation, CPL, that's going to follow him for the rest of his life. He's creepy porn lawyer, and now actually I think he's being sued because what do you call it? This lady has to pay Donald Trump's attorney's fees, and they're not cheap. But yeah, I had a thing about cycling, is that Friday I cycled to work, and maybe because of this storm, what is it? It's focused. But there's a screw in here, and what do you call it? I don't understand. How can a screw get into my wheel? Because there are people in, what do you call it, in Finland that have done this deliberately to people. That they put objects on cyclist path that they would, and now I had to, yeah, because of this. I pedaled for maybe 20 meters, and there's something funny. The sound is different with these spiked tires, and then you could feel that it's a bit wobbly. So yeah, I had to take the metro, and then I had to take the train, and since it's about 5 kilometers from the train to where I live, then I had to take the taxi and get my bike in a taxi and come home. But now let's see what this screw looks like. I tried to pull it out, but it didn't come, and now it was whole of, I can't see my eyesight has gone. So this was embedded in my tyre. So maybe somebody could have put these on the path and it just buried itself into my tyre. And given that it was windy and I was struggling with the wind, I didn't pay attention while I was cycling to work. So that's the only place that this base. Either it's an evil punter from the shopping centre that has purposely shoved this into my tyre, or then I drove over it and so something's going on. So basically now I need to amend this and put a new. Luckily I have a spare inner tube. I'll put that in so I don't need to play with glue and things. But yeah, very unpleasant surprise. What else did I have on mind? Yeah, it's been funny. We have an influx of migrants in Finland, and now that I'm taking the public transport, I see more of them. And it's funny, they just behave completely differently. They do not manage their kids at all. They run around making a tremendous ruckus, and they're completely out of control. And previously, when I was a kid, we would mock, or not mock, but they somehow felt that they were not a part of Finnish society, where the what do you call it? People from suomenruotsalaiset, people living in Finland that speak Swedish as their primary tongue. But now, seeing these migrants on the train, and then this svenskspråkig lady come in and sit there with her kid and behave in a kind of normal fashion, as well. Obviously, it's normal for me, and then I thought, this is wonderful that she's what do you call it? She's behaving in a manner that I'm all right with, instead of these Africans and Middle Eastern people who just I actually had to. This is a simple example. When you get off a public transportation or an elevator or anything, first the people going out go, and the people coming in, they wait on the side of the door, letting the. But no, these people, they just ran in. They just crowd you, and I've had to say a couple of things. A couple of times I said, "Ensin sisään, sitten ulos," in a very, how do I say, what do you call it? Voice, or making it clear that they're not behaving properly. The truth of the matter, truth be told, there was one elderly Finnish lady who was, she was very, I don't know if it's the right word, malcontent, bitter at life, and she was just rushing in. And then there was me, and there was another guy behind me who, what do you call it, then kind of jumped on what I was saying and scolded the lady. But yeah, that's funny how your attitude towards people change when you're exposed to the a vileness of certain people. But then, again, God loves them, and somebody told, or in some context they said that Christians then go there to tell them about Jesus. So what did God do? He took them and brought them here so that we can tell about Jesus to them here, which is actually happening. I know this. Vineyard, they have quite a bit of these refugees, and what do you call it? But yeah, it's a weird thing. But anyway, I'll end this and say, Jesus Christ is King. Amen.
May the blessing of God our Father,